advertising actually is the creator of disloyalty, and the product is what creates the loyalty. All right, now this thing about raising prices. All right, so supposedly the brand loyalty gives us inelastic demand. That means the very poor sensitivity to changes in price as opposed to elastic demand. And that enables the advertiser to jack up the price. What examples do they show? Well, there's, take a look at national brands versus private brands, your store brands. Kraft macaroni and cheese versus the local store brand that's there right up next to each other. About a 20% difference in price on average. But look, who created the market in the first place? It was the national brander. It's the Procter & Gamble's of the world. They're the ones who create the market. They spend sometimes even decades before the stores get into the act or the private brands get into the act. What the stores are trying to do is differentiate themselves from the other stores with price. So they make a product. Well, sometimes they may get it from the national advertiser, but a lot of them have their own processing plants now. So they make them themselves. And they don't have to do any advertising because it's already been done. Market's been created. So they just set the price a little bit lower, do it just fine. A certain segment of the market likes to buy the private brands. I have my instructions when I go to the store, do not buy private brands. So I buy the national ones. There are different segments of the market out there. Also, there's a distinction made about this increases prices argument between production costs and selling costs. Advertising is just a selling cost, whereas making the product is the production cost. So it has nothing to do really with the product, right? Yeah, accountants do make that distinction. Advertising is expensed, it is not depreciated. But a wonderful example comes from the Austrian economist Ludwig von Mises. Says there are two restaurants side by side. We have to go back, pre-COVID, but they actually were open. And you could go in and eat there. One restaurant hasn't, they're identical. One restaurant has not swept the floor in 6 weeks. The other one sweeps it every night. Okay, so how do you account for the cost of sweeping the floor? Production costs or selling costs? And Mises's point, you can't distinguish either one. They certainly are a production cost and the quality of the food in the restaurant, and of course it also is a selling cost in how it attracts people into the door, through the door. So again, like the persuasion informative idea, it's a false dichotomy, and you really cannot distinguish them. You build a new factory, that is, I assure you, that's a selling cost. You don't just build the factory to let it sit there. You are trying to sell what comes out of it. So that is another a big problem with that particular argument. The thing is about advertising and pricing is that advertising lowers prices. It doesn't raise the prices. I just happen to have an example from, let's see, Bayer aspirin, which is frequently being used as a target for these criticisms. Back in 1938, I found an ad or description, anyway, of a American Druggist magazine. A bottle of 100 tablets, Bayer aspirin, back then, 324 milligrams, 59 cents. Okay. I go to my favorite quick and dirty inflation calculator, BLS.gov, that's Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's the one, if you look up $1 in 1913, you'll find out it's only worth 4 cents today. But I went back to 1938, 50 cents, come up today. That bottle of 100 tablets of aspirin would cost $10.97. Okay, big movement in inflation. Okay, so but I look up CVS.com and Walgreens, and I found that CVS has a bottle of much improved aspirin. It's the micro-coated ones now, not like the ones that, if they melted on your tongue, you really did not want that taste. $8.69 at CVS, $7.99 at Walgreens. And I do believe Bayer has spent $1 or $2 on advertising since 1938. So advertising, it's not the sole factor that lowers prices. Technology is the big factor that lowers prices of products. but advertising does create a much larger market audience than would ever be possible if there were no advertising. And so that is a big contributing factor to lowering prices.